an exciting morning, and we're very so glad to have you all join us today. This is Enterprise Morning, reaching you from Enterprise Television from our corporate headquarters in Lagos State, Nigeria. I am Henry Igwebike, and today let's kickstart this beautiful morning with what we have coming from our newspapers, and right after that will be our conversation for today also. Please do well to be part of what we do. Have a say in what we say. You can reach us when you visit us at enterprisetvnews.com. You may equally like, comment, and follow us on all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV7. Very so honored to have joining us virtually is Wenga Ayonuga. He is a political commentator, development communicator. Thank you so very much for your time. You're welcome to Enterprise Morning today.
Thank you, Henry, for having me on the show. Thank you for the opportunity. And good morning, Nigeria.
It's always an honor having you. So today, let's kickstart this morning with the dailies on our desk. We have the Guardian newspaper, we have the Punch, we have the Daily Trust, and maybe the Nation if we have the opportunity to go through all of them. But let's kickstart with the Guardian newspaper for today. We have the big story: international travel squeeze, tickets spike by 100% as airlines cancel flights. On the top strip, we have that Nigerians anticipate improved ties as Tinubu departs for the UK. Falono and false reintroduction of sanitation exercise in Lagos. We have other growing matters. On the bottom strip, we have police counter the Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria over arrest of bandits at Akure Airport. Presidency kicks as ADC alleges plot to make Tinubu sole presidential candidate. Mr. Ayonuga, let's start with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's visit to the UK. What do you think is the importance of this visit, this state visit to the UK, knowing that in Nigeria we have a growing problem that needs the president's attention more than going to visit another nation? What's your take on this, please?
Well, there will always be challenges and situations that need the president's attention from time to time. So, irrespective of whatever is planned ahead or not. But at the same time, for the country to be able to take its place among committee of nations, the country cannot stand as an island. The country needs strategic partners and, of course, nations to review bilateral trade agreements that we have had in the past and forge new ones. And so this visit is one of such momentous occasion where we are not even the one calling for the visit. It is the other partners who are asking us to come visit. And hopefully, if the presidency is smart enough, the handlers of the president, the people saddled with various ministries, departments, and agencies of government, if they are patriotic enough to do their own part of the job, the president will be able to squeeze as much diplomatic juice and benefit from this visit as possible. The only challenge is that we might have a situation where the civil servants, the directors in various departments and agencies that are connected with this travel, the ministers of state, DGs of parastatals that ought to help Nigeria get the best out of this visit. If they don't do their job well, their assignment well, cross their T's properly, dot their I's very well, Nigeria may not be able to squeeze as much juice from this visit. I think it was on your station sometimes ago that we connected with an um, investment conference, I think in the Middle East, either in Saudi Arabia or so, where your correspondent who was at the event, you brought one Middle Eastern correspondent then who was at the show, complained about how the Nigeria Minister of State for Investment, or is it Minister for Investment, who represented Nigeria at that event, lost the opportunity to extract much investment juice for the nation, because rather than sell a proper USP that makes Nigeria stand out amongst its colleagues in Africa, is she's just selling the generic USP that is common to everybody else, and not something that is specific to Nigeria or peculiar to Nigeria. And that is the only thing that I fear for. But if they do their assignment properly, we can come back from this 2 day visit, because it's not just the president that is going there. There are some governors who are looking for investment for their state from investment partners in the UK. There are Nigerians, masters of industries, businessmen and women, who are also going in the entourage with the president. And all of these people will come back and bring the benefit to the ordinary man and woman on the street. So for me, it is a good one, it's a laudable one. And for the fact that the last time that we had state visits to the UK, not private visits for medical tourism by our leader to the UK, was around, I think, 1990 or 80 something, during the time of President Babangida back then. That was the last time we had any diplomatic visit to the UK. So that now coming about 36 years to almost 40 years after, it's a good one for the country. Let's just hope that we will not drop the ball by just going there for partying and all the usual unseriousness that we see with Nigerian delegates to other nations. For example, you will observe that when Nigerian delegates meet with other nations delegates, you will see almost all the delegates of other nations having either pen and paper or tablet, something to write down with. But hardly you see the Nigerian delegates, taking notes or being attentive. Sometimes you see Nigerian delegates dozing off during such conversations. But I hope that that will not be the case this time around. And if that's not the case, then we can extract, good juice from this meeting. As for what is happening on the home front that requires the president's attention, I don't think the president and the vice president should be out of the country at the same time, because once the president is out like that, it's the job of the vice president to fill in the gap and attend to some of the situations arising. For example, the bombing situation in Maiduguri yesterday, and especially happening in the home states, and particularly home turf of the vice president. There should be somebody on ground who should attend to those situations. But the job of nation building is, it has to be done simultaneously. So you can't say the president should be tied down here when he has appointed Minister of Defense, for example, Minister of State for Defense, key leaders in all the defense sectors, and the Vice President is also there, to also join in the process. Mm.
Well, that's a very good observation, actually. You made lots of selling points there, especially your observation on the round pegs for square holes that we have as delegates that go around with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Remember, one of the COPs, it should be either the COP 30 or one of the COPs actually to Dubai, where we had delegates of over 1,000 that were actually not necessary at that point. And this observation that you have is actually a good one. So I'd love you to, maybe in the next 60 seconds, if you may, tell me, do you think then that the decision of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu on delegates that go along with him is based on transaction, is transactionary in nature, rather than having people like you, okay, to be part of such delegates and really do the job they are asked to do?
Well, in fairness to the president, you can't really blame the president on the number of the delegates. because,
No,
like
I
I
am
said,
even speaking to the quality of delegates now, not the number.
yeah,
Because if we do
yes,
not have good
no,
enough delegates, then it doesn't matter if there are 2,000 of them.
both the quality and the quantity reflect on, most often than not, the civil servants in charge of these things. Uh, I I have related with a lot of people apart from the political setting. You know, I am an active politician, and apart from being an active politician, I also research a lot. And as part of the process of my research, I make friends with people cut across all different walks of life. And what you see in the civil service, take for example, during my university days, we used to have a professor who was very angry at our vice chancellor then. And why are they angry at the vice chancellor? Was because that's Professor Saburi Adejimi Adesanya back then. For those who attended Olabisi Onabanjo University during his time, they will know what I'm talking about. You know, that man came to drain the swamp, to make sure that, you know, he used state fund money to build the university. But it was during that time that we discovered that some lecturers will actually use state fund money to go and watch wrestling in America. They will say they are going for their they will say they are going for their sabbatical, you know, and then they will take their girlfriends, and all these things are funded by the university. Money meant for, you know, third fund building and all the rest. And when this professor came that drained the swamp, they hated him to no end. They, you know, put a lot of obstacle on his way. That is just one university, one single institution. Now imagine a president who oversees all different kind of institutions. So he will give the job to some people to say, sort and vet the delegates out. But these people will bring in their pecuniary tribal sentiment, and, and put people on the list. Do you know that they would even present official lists to the president and say only 30 people or 40 people are following you? But then they will make budget for those 2,000. But you know, the president will not come and be checking all the line items on the budget of each department, because it is so that people can do the work and bring the summary to him. That is why he appointed them as maybe DG, permanent secretary, you know, and all the whatnots. And these people will, you know, blow up all of these things. I remember there was, during Buhari's time, there was a minister. I don't want to mention his ministry because I know these things because it happened in my presence, but I don't have evidence. Like if we go to law court now, it will just be my word against his
Yeah.
own. So that's why I don't want to mention his name. But I know this thing 100%. This minister, whenever all these international expos and show that has to do with his ministry, whenever it happens, you know, there was during that year they went to South Korea, then they went to Barcelona in Spain. You know, 2 years that I'm privy to the information. This minister will leave all his aides behind, all his aides that used to write all the reports for him. He will leave all of them behind in Nigeria. He will carry his children and his wife to official engagement that his aides, who knows the nitty-gritty of the job, should follow him so that Nigeria can extract juice from it. This same minister is currently trying to contest for governor in his state now. You know, every time I see his post, you know, in my mind I want to curse him because you will see his, and all the fault, all the blame, we will heap it on Buhari back there, not knowing that all of these people that are appointed are also the challenge. You mentioned having people like me, having people like yourself on there. It's not that they don't know, but what will be the value added? You know, will they be able, because they don't have relationship with us, so they know they can't tell us that your extra code that is 115 or $2,000. We are going to collect 1,500 out of it, so we only give you $500. Because they know they can't have that kind of discussion with you, so they won't bring you. They will go and fill it up with people they can have that kind of discussion with. And that's why you see all of this over bloated entourage sometimes. And yes, we'll blame the president, but with my small knowledge from previous events and relations that I've had with the political class on some of this international travel, it's only little that you can blame the president, because there are people who will be on his entourage that the president will not even know that it was state funds that they use in bringing them on the travel. And all of these things are not things that you expect the president to look into natively, because there are bigger issues, more important issues that needs its immediate attention.
I sincerely hope that we won't have a repeat of the 24-year-old young man who was given the DG of Pharma sometimes back, only for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to realize that he doesn't even know who this young man is, but he found himself, as the DG of the Federal Road Authority of Nigeria and so on and so forth. But let's take a look at issues.
Thank you for that example.
Yes, very well. So let's take a look at issues from the international scene now. The Strait of Hormuz. EU rejects Trump's demand for help. Mr. Ayonuga, at this point, do you think the chicken is coming home to roost with respect to President Donald J. Trump firing himself right back? What's your take?
Well, the issue is neither here nor there. I mean, many of the NATO nations don't have any skin in the game. Many of them have gone behind the scenes to make personal deals with Iran, and so their ships, are passing through the strait. It is only US and Israel and other allied who are, directly involved in this war that are not allowed to pass through the strait. So if their vessels are passing, that's the NATO members, if their vessels are passing through the strait as a result of backyard agreement with Iran, why would they risk that agreement because they want to support a Donald Trump that does not respect them, a Donald Trump that does not value their friendship, a Donald Trump that talks down on them at every given opportunity, a Donald Trump that went unilaterally into a war that was not needed without consulting its allies. And because he's running out of maybe minesweeper now, because they have shortage of minesweepers and other equipment that will help them pass through the Strait of Hormuz unscathed, is now calling for help of those who have no skin in the game. Don't forget that recently Donald Trump, he, has been fighting with the European Union, with the NATO friends over Greenland. And the same Donald Trump that they know that by the time he finishes with Iran, he is going to resume the Greenland talk and all the rest. So do you expect them to help him? No.
But sorry, but if I might interject here for a bit, we all know that the world we live in now is a global village. There's no one that's an island now. So when you say that other European countries with no skin in the game are doing a backyard sort of business with Iran, the latest we have, over 800 cargo ships are waiting, hoping to cross the Straits of Hormuz, which affects even neighboring countries. The GCC countries are currently being affected. So don't you think that this backyard business might not last so long? It's not sustainable in the long run.
It's not sustainable, but you see, some of the ships, by the time, or vessels, by the time they weigh their option, they may have to take the longer parts of travel, spend maybe another 16 or 20 more days to go through South Africa to the other, to the Atlantic Ocean, and then join Europe from there. The Strait of Hormuz is like a shortcut for them to connect to Europe. But if this problem persists, they might have to turn around and find other means. It is better for them than to have their vessels shot out of the water and all the products loaded on it, lost eventually. So, but even at that, of course, they are also having to contend with the issue of piracy, because if they have to travel down through the South African coast, they will pass by nations where, all these pirates operate till today. So all those calculations are there, and like you have said, it is not sustainable. But on the long run, uh, they don't want to risk bringing themselves into this issue. Iran has made it abundantly clear that they have an almost inexhaustible amount of missile, Shahid missile, and drones that can do the damage.
Propaganda.
And Europe is closer to Iran than it is to America. So Europe will not want to allow itself to be dragged into the battle where Iran will be launching missiles at UK, for example, or at France, for example. And don't forget that currently the anti-missile whatever that the NATO countries have, the mathematics does not favor them, because while Iran is shooting a 20,000 naira, I mean a $20,000
Shahed.
missile, they need a $4 million interceptor, to be able to intercept it. But even at that, just one that is able to escape will do the damage uh, expected, and they don't want that situation in their corridor, Europe. Don't forget that, I mean, there are several videos circulating that they can do as much as 10,000 kilometers in range, which means there is no part of Europe that they can't touch if if Europe gets drawn into the battle. So some of the things that Europe might want to do is maybe get this Ukrainian interceptor that Ukraine has built locally over time. It's also cheap, So once they are able to, reverse engineer it, get it in massive production, all of these things may change the dynamics of the fight if it elongates beyond. But I don't see it elongating. I see America getting tired. I see Americans, whose life are being put on hold as a result of this thing. I mean, a gallon of petrol in US now is around $4.59. For a gallon of dollar that was sold at around $2
Yeah, $1
or
plus. $1
$1
50.
plus
Yeah.
before this incident happened. So that shows to you that very soon they will have it to hear, and then they will tell their president that, and by the time the pressure from home mounts, both Democrats and Republicans in the Senate and in the House will begin to feel the heat and then call their president to order.
Yeah, very well said. I'm very interested in international issues. Lately, I've been doing some study on leadership quality, historical, articles and all that. As much as the world might not be in sympathical with President Donald J. Trump on the invasion of Iran, don't you think that nature made it such that it would happen at a time like this? Because we all know no dictatorship lasts forever. 1979, the Shah, the Ayatollah took over, government from more like a democratic system that Iran enjoyed, and
no.
Yes.
They didn't take over from a democratic system. They took
What
over
happened? It was a revolution
from,
that ousted the
yes,
last Shah.
yes, the Shah. The Shah was a dictator.
Really?
You
The Shah was a dictator?
Yes, the Shah was a monarchical dictator. They had a democratically elected government up till 1953 in Iran. And those democratically elected governments in 1953 said, we can't be allowing UK, that's England, to steal our oil. So they nationalized all their oil assets. And because they nationalized all their oil assets, and you know that all these European countries, basically, they are a band of brigands and armed robbers who goes to steal from any nation they can in order to build their economy. And that is why they are fighting tooth and nail. I mean, countries like France, even this visit by our president to UK is just a way of UK trying to cut us and bring us back into the shame that we seem to have left sometimes ago, because their economy is bleeding and they don't have the resources inside their own country to be able to make their economy work. So they need to steal from any countries that they can. And just as they were stealing from Africa back then, they were also stealing from Iran. And when Iran had this, I think the president then was Mossadegh, that was his name, you know, when they nationalized the Iranian oil, the British ran to the America to say, this thing cannot work for us. Help us send this man out of office. We will share the oil revenue. And so they brought back the Shah, which was a monarchy, yeah, to rule in Iran. And the Shah, in order to to consolidate power, was also very brutal dictator. But you see, the West do not care whether you are a brutal dictator, whether you are even the firstborn of the devil. As long as you dance to their tune, as long as you provide them with your rare earth mineral, you provide them with your oil, and you don't ask too much question from them, they will support you. History is littered. Countries, there is no Western country, Europe or US, that has the moral right to talk about dictatorship anywhere else in the world, because we have seen in the last 100 years those European countries and America prop up the worst dictators in different countries across the world. They have supported actively dictators, and they have removed democratically elected government in different countries in the world. The first president of Benin Republic, Hupet, Boni or something was his name. You know, it was the Europeans that killed him because he wanted to nationalize their natural resources in their country for the benefit of the people. The first democratically elected president of is it Uganda, or where did Patrick Lumumba come from? You know, they are the one that killed him. They killed Patrice Lumumba. You know, even dissolved his body in
DRC.
acid. So if you go through all this history, you know, they have a way of saying a narrative. If they don't like you today, okay, for example, let me give, sorry for digressing too much,
Okay.
but I knew that President Jonathan was not going to win 2015 election as far back as I think December 2013 or January 2014, because I was privy to be in a meeting where we had the French ambassador to Nigeria back then, the British ambassador, the American ambassador to Nigeria back then, meeting with the opposition and finalizing things to say the reason why those international countries do not support Jonathan. And so we knew automatically that if these international players and mediators are against the sitting president, he's likely going to lose. And that was what happened. And
so do you see that playing out in 2027 for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu? Because the way it's looking now, Donald J. Trump is not a fan of the president, and he might influence lots of other allies to go against 2027 for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, just like it was meted out on Jonathan.
Well, with what you have seen in Iran situation, where are the allies you are talking about?
Well, Great Britain is still a very strong ally of the United States. They've never left them. France, still a very strong ally.
If they are strong allies of the United States, they won't tell President Donald Trump that it is none of their business. Just yesterday, they told President Donald Trump, everybody is fighting for their survival in their various countries right now. If you know the level of inflation in France, the level of inflation in UK, every one of those countries want to do their own deal individually and separately. And one thing, excuse me, that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has is he knows when to dance to the tune of the enemy and play the fool to get what he wants. He knows when to strike back. And if you put that into perspective, I think all of them eventually will rally around and supporting OHA. Forget about all the rhetorics they make in public. It is the deal that they make at the background that is the most important. And if you are privy to many of the deal that they make at the background, you will know that it seems President Bola Tinubu has America, Europe, Russia, and China all in his pocket because he's like this guy in the Nigerian music space now, Zlatan.
Yeah.
You know, if you are a follower of the Nigerian music industry, you will see that there is always this fight and big debate.
All right, I think we lost Mr. Ayonog on that one. He was speaking to the fact that he thinks that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has the United States, France, China, and other countries within his beck and call. Well, it is highly debatable at this point. Just like Mike Tyson would say, that you think you have everything all settled out until you get into the boxing ring, and lots of things might change. Well, let's just hope that the same way that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu thinks that he has the allies, you know, with him, Nigerians are equally feeling the same way, because politics is domestic in nature. If a leader does not take care of its people, then how much more do you think that would reverberate in the minds of people who are looking from other parts of the world? I love to believe Mr. Ayonuga is back with us. All right.
Yes,
so please, I'd love you to finish your thought just before we go into.
So I was likening President Tinubu to Zlatan in the Nigerian music space. You know, Zlatan is a friend of Davido, is a friend of Whiskey, and I think he's also a friend of Burna Boy.
Yep.
And you will see that despite all these big fights here and there, with some other musicians taking sides here and there, Zlatan has been able to manage all the friendships. Davido, Olamide, Burna Boy, Whiskey, he has been able to remain friends with every one of them. It takes a lot of tact, it takes a lot of professionalism, diplomatic understanding for him to be able to do so. And if there's anybody that is doing that in the political space in Nigeria right now, hate him or leave him, you give it to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And that is why, if you are hoping, waiting, depending, and thinking that foreign interventions will help you, if you truly want to take back power from the president as it is, you are deceiving yourself. The only way, if you have any interest, is to build the system from ground up in the country. And that is why most often I laugh at oppositions, you know, when they go on media and all their talks start and end in the media, nothing on the ground to show for it. I mean, on this your show, I've said it severally that, for example, ADC have not seen their impact or presence in my own locality. You know, well,
you might not see it actually, because I do not know if you've seen lots of videos, viral videos of ADC campaigns being attacked by hoodlums of the APC. You saw the one at Bakassi in Cross River State and many other places where, when the ADC wants to have a sit-down meeting with the community, talks of the APC would go and attack them. So how do you, and why would you see ADC on the ground when talks of the APC are often attacking them? It's not realistic.
My brother, keep deceiving yourself. All of those news that they bring to you, we know how it is done. Sometimes ADC will attack itself in order to get.
You are speaking like Bayo Ononuga at this point, and no, I'm blaming people.
Hold on. You see, I am not a roadside analyst. I have spent well over 20 million naira of my own money to contest an election before. So whatever I say it from experience. If you have not experienced it and been in the thick of it, you won't understand how some of these things work. You can only imagine and be sentimental. But these are the reality we face on ground. So, for example, even if those attacks are real, the attacks are real because they are deciding to build their house from the top. So, most often than not, you don't have anybody in my community who is an ADC person. You are just bringing, let me use my state as an example and my town, my political ward as an example. I am from Ward 14 in Odogbolu local government area of the state. And in my ward, if ADC has its own people who are indigenes of the ward there, maybe former PDP or people who are disgruntled with the APC and they have become, if they are indigenous people there, not that you are just bringing people from Abuja or from Lagos, and then you bring them, you want to come and speak big English, and we know that you will speak all the big English, use us to take pictures so that you go and use it to go and collect money from our people and go. We will scatter everything for you. But if it is our own people, my cousin, for example, my brothers that I know, that I see from time to time, who are part of you, and you are coming, you are not even having a meeting to speak with the town. You are just saying, these are the five of us who are ADC in this town. Let's sit down and talk together. Then we talk and strategize on how to make that 5 10 by the next meeting, how to make that 10 20 by the third meeting, how to make that 20 40 by the fourth, fifth meeting, like that, like that. Eh? You will grow organically inside out. Eh? But what ADC does that leads to some of these attacks is like pastors who found churches and then they will do crusade and rent crowd, eh? And do and bring guest speaker. Now, after the guest speaker has gone, the total number of their own members in the church is not more than 10, it's not more than 15. Why? Because they are not building organically from inside out. And that is why, even if some of these attacks are true, that it is true that it is APC thugs that is attacking them, these are some of the reasons. Because, I mean, no APC thug can come to my hometown, for example, from outside my town to come and attack any other political party in my town. You know why? Because uh, all of us will stand up against them. Even people who are in APC will stand up against them. And the reason why they will stand up against them is that the people in ADC or PDP that you are going to attack are their cousins, their brother, their husband, even sometimes their father or their son. Because that's how, if the thing is grown organically from inside out, you will see fathers in APC, son in ADC, or son in APC, father in A. And there is no way you will see a responsible son allow a thug from his own party to attack his father. I mean, Atiku is in ADC, but his son is in APC now. Do you think his son would allow his father to be attacked because he's an APC member?
But Mr.
No.
Ayoduga, we have
So
seen we have seen and have reported cases in Ondo State, for example, even within the rank and file of the APC, they kill themselves. Just last couple of months, 2 people were killed. They are members of the APC. So if this thing is happening within the APC, why do you think it won't happen to a rival party? So these are actual things. These are reality.
The APC situation is a different kettle of fish entirely. I don't have time to go into it because some of the things that are there are not even meant for public consumption. It's another different kettle of fish entirely. It is you compare light with light. Eh? There is a battle for supremacy at the heart of the party, between
Brothers
the
and
minister
brothers.
of state. Minister of State,
Yeah.
and also the governor. Now, don't forget that if you understand, and you know every politics is local, so if you understand, Ondo State very well, you will know that Ondo comprises of different varied indigenous people. All of us are called Yoruba, but we also have our various ethnic groups. Like in Ondo now, you have the Ilajes, you have the Ondo, you have the Akures, you have all different sort of people within, apart from all these major ones that I'm able to remember, the Ikale, the Isoko, the Urobo, the Ijo Akoi, all in Ondo State. And every one of them might be in the same party, but they are basically not brothers because it's about resource control when you are trying to get over party structure in the state. So I don't want to go too much into the issue in those, but it has nothing to do with this ADC so-called attack because many at times, once I read the news and I read between the lines, I'm able to most often than not see that it is just what we call ziggy, during my campus politics day. It is just what it is, and I don't want to sweat too much on that.
All right, thank you so very, very much. And just to let us know that Mr. Ayonuga will still be here to take us on our main conversation. This is more like a transition from one to another. Femi Fani-Kayode fires back at Momodu over dictatorship claims of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. That in a beat. Enterprise morning it is. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Thank you so very much for being back. And if you just joined us, Enterprise Morning, it is reaching you from Enterprise Television to our main conversation for today. Femi Fani-Kayode, Nigeria's ambassador designate to Germany, has strongly criticized Dele Momodu for comparing Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration to the regime of dictator General Sani Abacha. Momodu had warned that Tinubu shows signs of dictatorship, claiming current conditions are worse than Abacha's era. In response, Femi Fani-Kayode dismissed the remark as irrational and said Momodu appeared exhausted and lacking clarity during the interview. While expressing personal respect for him, he advised Momodu to step back from politics and regain focus. Fani-Kayode further accused Momodu of disrespecting not only the president but also top government officials, arguing they possess a greater governance experience. He then launched a harsh attack on the African Democratic Congress, describing it as a disorganized, ineffective, and lacking leadership, direction, and capacity to compete politically. Let's get talking. We still have Mr. Ayonuga with us. Thank you so very much for being here. I truly do appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so let's get talking on this comparison at this point. You might not agree with this, but that is not the thoughts of lots of Nigerians who have seen a semblance of what we had observed from 1996 to 1998 during General Sani Abacha's era. Lots of things went bad. The whole system were all tailored to suit General Sani Abacha at that time. Everything that happened is looking more like what we're experiencing today. Lots of Nigerians would say. But what's your take on this? Do you see that semblance? If not, what do you think is different?
It's actually 1993 to 1998.
Yes, yes, very true. 1993, yeah.
To power
yeah.
In November 1993 to 1998. But comparing Tinubu with Abacha, it's a mismatch if you are looking at it from political angle. But if you're looking at it maybe from the economic angle and saying that people are poorer now, people can barely afford 3 square meals now, that, people are even looking for alternatives. Even me, as I am like this, sometimes I still have to use, what do you call it, firewood right now, to do some things. There are some things that I may want to do that before you just say how much is gas, use gas because they are fuel consuming processes. But now we will just say, oh, we'll go and use firewood. So if you compare it with Abacha time from that perspective, where some of us grew up using what we call Abacha stove. I don't know if you use it or you know about it, where people will put sawdust. They
Yeah,
will go and
sawdust.
pack saw. Yes, we'll go and pack sawdust from
Yeah.
the um, sawmill,
Yeah.
and then put bottle inside all those keg of paint, and use it to make stove back in the day. So if you compare it from that perspective, yes, I would say it seems close, not necessarily the same, but it's close because the fact that some of us could earn salary or do one or two contracts and earn money doesn't mean that it's not very bad out there for a lot of people, especially if we are grassroots oriented people who go around and make friends with people in the grassroots. There are a lot of people who want to work, but who have no job, to do. And so many of them to even provide 3 square meals or even 2 square meals for their family is a lot of work. So from that perspective, I would say maybe Dele Momodu is right, even though not 100% correct, because unlike that time where there was no hope and everything was bleak, right now it's more like we are in a transitionary period where our economy, like a snake, is shedding its old skin and transitioning into the new skin. And that is why I'm saying that I won't say he is 100% correct, but he is also not wrong. But looking at it from the political perspective that, oh, because out of 36 governors, about 32, or yes, I think 32 have defected to APC, that therefore it is dictatorship. I think it is wrong. It is not correct at all because none of the governors were coerced into the campaign into APC. Every one of them decamped because of their personal needs, their personal, I won't say greed, yeah, but every one of them wanted something, and they knew that it is APC that can provide that
Yeah,
something for
sorry
them.
for
That is
interjecting
why,
there. Yeah, you said every single one of them wanted something, and that something is what we should be hammering on. Don't you think that is more like a Greek gift from President Bola Ahmed Tinubu? The carrot and the stick, and making it look like I'm
well,
not forcing you to come, but they have no choice but to come.
no, 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 no. It has nothing to do with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. It has to do with the greed of their party, where some people felt more powerful than the party and they destroyed the party so much so that, because let me tell you, many of the PDP governors, for example, who are decamping to APC, they are decamping to APC not necessarily because they believe in the ideals and ideology of the APC, but they are decamping, especially those who want to go for second term, because they know that if they stay in PDP, even if they win, on technicality, they might still lose, which is that which faction of the PDP would they say they are contesting under? That's the reason why Adeleke went to
Accord.
Accord. He wanted to jump to the APC, but the APC people at the local level said, no, we don't want him. And that was why he had to settle for Accord. If not, you will see Davido in all these city boy movements by now, because if his uncle is in APC, I mean, the whole family is in APC. So what am I saying is that they don't want to take that risk. Back in 2019, something similar happened in my state, in Ogun State. So there was a battle for the soul of PDP between late Buruji Kashamu, our former senator in Ogun East, and the Ladi Adebutu-led faction. And this battle raged until about 2 weeks to election, when it was finally declared by the courts that it was Buruji faction that is the legitimate, recognized owner or leader of the party in the state. And that made everyone who contested under the Ladi Adebutu-led faction to lose out of that election. They have printed posters all over the place. That year, in 2019, I also contested under Green Party. You know, everywhere you go, you will see two PDP candidates in each constituency. You know, one, their posters, one from the Buruji faction, one from the Ladi Adebutu faction. And because of that battle, they also did poorly in the general election, because the judgment was given barely 2 weeks to the election. So many of the PDP governors today, they've seen that example and some other examples in the past, and they know that, okay, some weeks back, it was the Turaki-led faction that was winning in court that looks legitimate. Abi,
Yes.
a few days ago now, it is the Wike-led faction that is winning in court. That is, but the case has not gotten to Supreme Court yet. It is still at the appellate court. So what if the case gets to Supreme Court? Maybe some people went to the Wike faction and said, okay, we will support the president at the federal, but at the state level, we will contest under PDP. And they aligned behind Wike faction, only for them to get to 1 week or 2 weeks before the election, and then the Turaki faction is declared the authentic party leadership. And by that time, INEC submission of whatever that has to do with the election has already closed. They have moved on, which means automatically everyone who contested under the faction that lose in the court is out of the race. And so it is not about whether Ashwaju is giving them Greek gifts or dangling anything. No, it is that they needed him more than he needed them. And because he's a man who believes that the more the merrier, he wants to bring them all in. That is why we are having many of these campaigns, but people who don't understand this reality will think that, oh, it is about Ashiwaju destroying their party. No, it is not about Ashiwaju destroying their party. Okay, for example, even the ADC that they are going right now, if you want ADC to win, their candidate must come from the south. Abi?
Yep.
Let's be fair. Their candidate must come from the south. But you and I know that so long as Atiku is on the ticket, is in the race against Peter Obi or Rotimi Amechi, it would be nearly impossible for any one of them to beat him. We've seen this play out every primaries over and over again. And so we know that this is impossible. And so at the end of the day, is it Ashwaju that is destroying their party, or the greed of a certain individual who could have said, let me yield for now, so that our party can at least win, and then I will come back later? Did you know that our president today was supposed to be the vice presidential candidate for Buhari? But some people rose up against him and said, no, it's Muslim ticket, we can't have him, and blah, blah, blah. After having built the party, they agreed before building the party that you, Buhari, will be the president, I will be your vice. But then the moment that they did, they saw that there is possibility of them winning, and they did their primary election, and Buhari was to choose his vice president, they said no. And then the likes of Saraki rose against it. Now, Ashwaju could have said, let everything spoil if you want to spoil, because you didn't pick me as your vice presidential candidate. I would rather go and pick my tent somewhere else. But no, He swallowed his pride. He let the party be so that the party can win and gave them Yemi Osinbajo. Even after winning, when Buhari won, immediately Buhari won less than 6 months after winning. They sidelined Asiwaju for almost 3 years. With those 3 years, he could have said, yes, we will spoil everything. We will not allow you to get a second term. No. But when it was 6 months to the second term election, they went and caught him again, to support them. And he went ahead and still supported them so that they can have their second term, so that he will be able to have his own turn. And the moment they won again for the second term, they sidelined him again. And when they sidelined him, they started pushing people, his own people to fight against him so that those ones who want to be president. You saw how former Vice President Yemi Osinbajo, was campaigning everywhere. And that was what led to that statement that it is my turn that time. See, many of the people in the opposition are not the sons of Issachar. If you are a Christian, you will understand what I'm talking about. There were certain tribes in Israel called the sons of Issachar, people who understood time. And what makes our president now different from many of his political opponents is that he understood time. He knows when to abase, he knows when to abound, like Apostle Paul said. Sorry for using churchy quotes, but he knows when to withdraw, to keep quiet, to play the fool, to pretend, and he knows when to go all out. And that is what many of the opposition don't have. They just want to, it's either me or nobody else. In fact, it is that either me or nobody else that made Wike not swallow his pride and spoiled everything for Atiku. Because if Wike had said, okay, though they didn't pick me as vice president, but this is our party must not die, and he still stayed, there is high probability that they would have a better showing than they did the last time, and who knows, maybe they would have even won the presidency right now. So, and that is why I am saying that it is not about the president using great gifts to deceive them. It is about all these politicians from the party weighing their option and see that, okay, for now, the only party that does not have any internal wrangling at the moment. You see, go and write it down. The internal wrangling of APC will come
Yeah, very well.
2028, 2029, 2030. It will come and it will be devastating. It will be bloody. But right now, the only party that does not have any case in court about authentic leadership or fake leadership is the APC. And it is the only place where you can contest, and if you win, you will win. Not that you will win an election, even certificate of return would have been issued to you only for it to be withdrawn back because of a technicality of court case in your party.
Very well said. Now let's go back to the comparisons for a bit here. Late Chief Bola Ige called it the 5 fingers of a leprous hand when 5 political parties during General Sani Abacha's era concluded unanimously that General Sani Abacha was the presidential candidate they all supported. Now, apart from the PDP and some factions of the Wike side, of course, going for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, ABGA with Soludo is also routing for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. So don't you think what we have right now, I do not know how many parties we have now, but let's assume there are 4 of them. Don't you think in the likes of Bola Ige, what we have now is more like 4 fingers of a leprous hand, all supporting President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, which makes the similarity more likely, like Momodu has stated?
I think we have about 12 or more parties, of the 12, you can talk about APC, PDP, ADC, APGA, NNPP, Accord, then NDC, that's 7. Those are the ones I can remember off the cuff right now. But I think we have almost about 12 political. I think we still have APM also, functioning, and a few other parties like that within the ranges. So many of them are rooting for the president not because of anything. It's not about leprous finger. It is about the fact that the policies of this presidency has allowed governors who are there now to see so much money than they could ever imagine. I
That
don't
is
know if you
invested in
saw
the
the,
community or is meant for themselves, because it's
hold on
different to
now,
have money pushed to
hold
these
on.
people and it's not cascading to the common
Can
Nigerians.
you hold on?
Yeah.
You know, Fabio said that he wished that he was a governor right now because despite all the big money they made then, did you know that all the money Wike made in his 8 years that made him powerful and all the rest, Kubara with what he is getting now will make all those money in 1 year, one single year,
But we
or
can't see
even
it eventually. We can't, the
or
people can't feel
even
it.
8 months. Are you living in Rivers State?
Well,
Huh?
I'm a journalist. I read, I report stories. We see some of these things, and it is the same. We see all of that. You
Well,
made mention of
maybe, maybe,
Gospel
maybe,
Akpabio.
maybe,
Omo
maybe.
Eno, who is the governor of Akwa Ibom State, I can tell you tentatively, with all the money he has, nothing to write home about. You need to visit Akwa Ibom today, and you would prefer an Akwa Ibom under Gospel Akpabio than an Akwa Ibom under Omo Eno. So don't you think that this is more
No,
like
no, I agree.
distraction
No,
for the
I agree with
governors?
you. Hold on, I agree with you on some of those issues, and that shows to you that the president is still not the problem because you know the crux of our discussion is whether the president is a dictatorship or being the problem, in trying to force people to himself. I mean, you by your confession just now have made it abundantly clear that the problem is not the president or the presidency. It is most often than not the governors themselves. Because it is the same money that they are not using to do anything other than good time. Abi, how did you call that time?
Happy time.
That
Happy hour.
happy hour.
Yes, happy
Uh-huh.
hour.
You know, it is the same money they are using to do happy hour in Akwa Ibom State that Alex Oti is using to do fantastic projects in Abia State. Abi,
Yes,
it
very
is the
well.
same money. It is the same money that Charles Soludo is using to do wonderful projects in Anambra State. It is the same money that Sheyi Makinde is using to turn lives around in Oyo State. It is this okay. It is not the same money anyway because Lagos makes its own money and they do not necessarily depend on whatever comes from Abuja. Whatever comes from Abuja is an icing on the cake. But go and check the nooks and crannies of Lagos local government. There are projects that governors in other states are celebrating as their projects for their 8 years in office that are being done by local government chairman in 3 years in office in Lagos. You see, because the population in Lagos is so massive, you are planning for 24 million people this year. Before the end of the year, the number has risen to 26 million. So it's putting pressure on the infrastructure every second. So you may not know, you may not, but it is this money that has been made that all these people who are doing well are using to do well. So from that perspective, you will see that the president is not the dictator, rather, it is the governors. And that's why the president even called them out, I think a few days ago, when he said that the people should hold their government responsible because he has given LG autonomy and he has even helped local governments to go to court and fight the case in court and win over this issue of LG autonomy. So if there are states that are having backyard arrangements with their local government, so much so that money that ought to come directly to local government are not coming to local government, the people should hold their local governments responsible. They should hold their state government responsible and not put the blame on the doorstep of the federal government. And that is what Femi Fani-Kayode was saying to his brother,
Dele Momodu.
Bashorun, Dele Momodu, And if you see the tone of the conversation, it goes back to our earlier conversation of when brothers are fighting. You saw that he was respectful. You know, he said, you see, I love Dele Momodu, and we are just on different divide right now, but he's still my brother. He's even appealing to him to cross over to the APC. And that is what happens when you build inside out. And for Basharun Dele Momodu too, I think he needs to uh, pipe it down. I know that for people like Basharun Dele Momodu, maybe they have personal grudges against the president. He is their brother, so they have personal relationship before, and he might have offended him. But you know, all of these things, no politician will come and admit that that is the reason why. Yeah, because some of the things he says is like he will say 10% near truth, then 90% lies. And for somebody that people hold in high regards before now, it begins to, dwindle your credibility, such that the day you need people to use your credibility to take your word for something, people will not be able to take it because now, just because you have, and that's why, Femi Fani-Kayode advise him to step back, take a deep breath, take a break from this politics and refresh himself. And I think the advice is apt, even though Femi Fani-Kayode, that I know, would have done the same thing Dele Momodu is doing now or worse, had he not been compensated, within the party that he is. So he is also not a saint, While I'm saying that yes, he is correct, but I know he's also not a saint. In fact, while Dele Momodu is a bit more principled, that he will not, because of who jump over. Dele Momodu has relationship with Asiwaju such that he could have jumped over anytime he wants and could have gotten something tangible from jumping over. But he still stayed in the opposition, unlike people like Femi Fani-Kayode, who it is every government in power, you call them Ajit back in the days, they just want to eat and be at the table at all times, irrespective of whether their conscience, allows it or not.
It's actually quite interesting. I am so excited that you had to come out with this truth, because hardly you would see someone in your capacity that would have said this the other way around. Your truthfulness to this is actually so germane. Femi Fani-Kayode is really not someone any responsible government should hold in high waters, because he is neither here nor there. I would love to let you know, like you would always have believed, if any other government comes now or takes over in 2027, Femi Fani-Kayode would equally run to that government again and start opposing where he is coming from. But I'd love to leave it at this point. Basharun Dele Momodu had said that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu would remember this someday. A time would come when President Bola Ahmed Tinubu would remember that he had said this, that all the people within his eyes and ears are all telling him lies, but what he is telling him is the truth. And what he has said is President Bola Ahmed Tinubu should ensure that Nigerians come first, and not him, his family, and his cronies. We will leave it at this point. Thank you so very much, Mr. Gbenga, for being here. Truly do appreciate you.
Thank you for having me.
All right. That's our time. I'd love to say thank you to everyone who has joined or streamed from around the world. We'd love to say thank you. But please do well to visit us. You can find us at enterprisetvnews.com to read up on everything we've talked about. Visit us at Enterprise TV 7 to download and share this to friends and folks. And also on your social media platform, drop your comments and we will be there to see them, reply them, and comment on them also. Please do well to visit us if you may. I am Henry Gobika. Have yourself a splendid weekday, and I'll see you on another episode. Bye-bye.